Thank you so much. With such an esteemed panel, I know what it's like now, what it must feel like to bat after Tendulkar. Firstly, I want to start by sharing a sincere thank you to Mr. Bala Reddy. An event like this would never have been possible without you. I'm very grateful for the fact that our paths crossed back in 2009 under very different circumstances. And like I said to you back then, I learned a lot from you and I continue to learn from you. And thank you for your kindness, for your warmth, for your generosity, bringing me to India and giving me this level of exposure. I really appreciate it. It's an absolute honor to share a panel with such esteemed personalities. I would never have imagined this. So I think, I'm overwhelmed at this stage with gratitude and with just a genuine sense of, appreciation for you guys being here and saying a few words. It really does mean a lot. I'll give you just a few personal words as to why this is so meaningful for me personally. I'm of Indian origin. I'm not sure whether you can tell. I'm of Indian origin, and I'm not sure whether everyone knows this, but Indian people left to go to South Africa in 1860. All right, so my ancestry back to India goes back to 1860 when a whole bunch of people left here and went and set up shop for the first time in South Africa. And bear in mind that we emerged from very humble beginnings, right? If you look at how Indian people showed up, and we were working, our forefathers were working the plantations, and eventually we, like Indian people have demonstrated all around the world, there's been a great amount of tenacity, persistence, resilience, a deep commitment to education, and a deep commitment to family success. And through those basic principles, Indian people have risen up the social ladder very admirably back in South Africa. And it's fortuitous for me to be here because I never planned on a book launch in India. But if there's any country that I would have loved to have had a book launch, it would certainly be in India, where we have a very close, back in South Africa, we have a very close association back to India. We still refer to ourselves as Indians, right? We never speak of ourselves in another way. So there's a very, very deep commitment back to our country of origin, and more particularly, I'm South Indian, so there's a deeper connection to South India, right? So that's just one reason why this is as special as it is. The other reason, and this is really why I wanted to make this announcement here today, I don't think that India fully understands what it's about to experience with the rapid rise of AI. AI has been around for a long time. As Prof. Atul articulated far better than I can, he gave a great story about the growth and development of AI. I hope you were paying attention. There's going to be a quick quiz afterwards. And you will receive a certificate of completion. India is about to experience something mammoth. And India is poised to be the world leader of this next evolution of change far beyond any other nation on the planet, primarily because of the preparation that India has already undergone by being at the forefront of technology innovation, specifically software innovation, and the associated services practices that live around any software-oriented ecosystem. And India really has legitimately staked a massive claim to that territory on a global scale. I mean, I'm not just making a light commentary here based on the fact that the top leaders of the world's largest software companies are of Indian origin. This is not a light commentary of that. This is, if you look at economically and structurally how India is currently composed from a GDP point of view, India is very well poised to take advantage of this next wave of growth. In terms of job losses, we don't have a fear at all. Let me just tell you, if you have a worry about that, put it aside. That's not today's problem, and I'll tell you why. You're not going to have unmonitored AI growth anytime soon. Anything that happens with AI over the next 5-10 years is going to be deeply monitored, and it has to be. We just don't have the level of cognitive capability within AI to do anything independently, fully independently for the minute. what we really need to look at is the manufacturing of AI solutions. We're going to be making more and more and more AI-based solutions. Even Mr. Bala Reddy just mentioned that Cura will be incorporating AI-based engines imminently within the development roadmap. And what is that going to require? That's going to require someone to build it, right? Who's going to be building these AI-based systems? Your kettle. Very soon, your kettle is going to be somehow AI run and AI enabled. Most devices, most applications are going to be AI enabled. Who's going to build that? It's going to have to be built somewhere. And India is really at the forefront of the capability and the technology to really crack the code in volume. And like I said, a lot of our AI advancements cannot possibly be unmonitored. So again, India would have to be really the custodian of the next wave of software development and technology progression. And I say technology progression because we're moving into the realm of hardware as well. It's not just about software. And India is really at the forefront of taking us into that next era, the age of agency, purely because of the existing talent that it possesses that's very AI ready right now. And AI ready, you see what I did there, Mr. Reddy? These are just my South African jokes. So on that note, let me segue a little bit. I just want to say one or two things to give everyone a sense of certainty of where AI stands right now. I want you to consider that as much as AI has advanced, it's deeply limited from a pure cognitive standpoint. In fact, if you're to make AI into a human right now, and this plays into your point, it would be a deeply, deeply dysfunctional and limited human being. That's the truth of it. And here's something that we have to always have at the back of our minds. If you go right now onto the streets, and if you choose any human that you want, just go ahead and pick out a human being. That human being is going to be 1,000,000 times more intelligent than any AI that exists today in terms of its ability to exercise correct perception, observation, resourcewulness, the ability to compute creatively. All of these faculties are entirely absent from the realm of computing, anywhere near the level of where a human being is. So let's not underestimate our order of importances. As we make our plans for our businesses, etc., we must still lead with people, and we must still ensure that our strategies reflect that the correct bet is being placed from a people versus computing power perspective. We cannot bet on computing power over human beings, and those leaders around the world who are doing that, and there's only a handful of them that are taking these big bets with computing power over humanity, and they're making, certainly in the immediate term, several losses as a result. So I think we can, it's fairly safe to say that we've got a long future for humanity to lead the journey into the field of artificial intelligence and beyond, and we have no fears, certainly not in the immediate term. And I think that the last point, the closing point, is that there's one thing that human beings can still do. I'm not talking about the faculties. I'm not talking about observation, creativity, understanding, care, resourcefulness. I'm not talking about any of those points which are all unpacked in the book. I'm talking about one primary ability that human beings have that AI couldn't possibly produce. Can anyone guess what that might be? There's just one fundamental difference between what we are capable of and what AI could ever do into the future of humanity. I mean, I'm sure you guys heard of the term AGI, artificial general intelligence. There's a lot of that term being used right now where we're being told that AGI is going to supersede the intellect of humanity. It might become better than human beings at going through mounds and mounds and mounds of data. It might be better than humanity when it comes to consuming numbers and crunching numbers and processing and analyzing data, over a 15-year period without a break. That for sure it could do. But there's one thing that AI couldn't possibly do better than mankind. Is there anyone who would like to hazard a guess? There's the emotional factor, absolutely, and that's, that plays into that element of care, human understanding. All of these things are entirely absent. I mean, let's be honest, AI can't feel a thing. No matter how much it can write copy that gives the idea that it can feel things, it can't feel anything, okay? Anyone else wants to hazard a guess? Creation, right?
It cannot create.
Right, absolutely. And I love that. I love that you said creation, because here's the thing. what has to occur just before creation occurs? You have to be able to conceive of a goal, a dream, an ambition, some kind of future. Before the creation occurs, there has to be a picture of what we want to create, right? And that's the fundamental difference between humanity and anything a computer can do. Because here's the difference. Humanity can still conceive of a goal that's 100% independent of its past. You take a child today, no matter the circumstances that that child was born into, that child can still conceive a future for itself that is independent of its past and circumstance. That's the power of humanity. It can dream a future that has nothing to do with the past. That's why someone can rise from poverty and still become a huge success, because a human being is not tied to its past. Whereas any AI algorithm is heavily dependent, and in fact 100% dependent on the data that it is fed. So despite the fact that we're running complex algorithms, and I think Prof. Atul covered some of them, the neural networks, these are all algorithms that are taking place over existing data sets. But all of those data sets are training the AI to be able to figure out the future. So the AI is having to run all of these algorithms in order to determine what's going to happen next. So even a prediction technology, like the prediction technology that you mentioned, Shri Thakur, you mentioned about being able to figure something out quicker than a human being, and that's 100% correct. That's a great application of AI, but that depends on all the data that was fed. But a human being can conceive of something brand new, independent of any data. And in fact, some of the best decisions that come from mankind are independent of historical data sets. It depends entirely on want and desire and the future, and that goes to the emotional point. Because the thing that drives someone towards a goal that has nothing to do with the past is what the person wants to do. And I think that that's a fundamental point that we must never let go of as a humanity, as a bunch of leaders, as people who are, especially in India, the custodians of the next wave of growth for mankind from a technology point of view. We must never lose sight of the fact that that's what we bring to the table. And it's not something that can ever be taken away from any of us. So that was just the message I wanted to land. I thank you all personally for being here and celebrating this very special moment. And at that point, I will hand over back to Mr. Balareddy.
Yeah, officially, hold the book and officially launch the